They say money can't buy happiness, but apparently it can't buy peace either. Because the Harris household just turned into a real-life season finale of Grey's Anatomy meets Love and Hip Hop, Atlanta. Picture this, T.I. and Tiny, the self-proclaimed royalty of Atlanta, sprinting through hospital doors like it's the BET Awards red carpet. Except this time there's no paparazzi, just panic, tears, and a son fighting for his life. Whispers flooded social media. King Harris' heart stopped. Fans froze. Haters smirked. And somewhere, someone hit record because the streets of Atlanta don't do silence. They do drama on surround sound in seconds. The internet went from clowning King's viral jail antics to praying for him like it was Easter Sunday. One minute he's the loudmouth heir of hustle culture, the next, doctors are fighting to bring him back. It's like karma just clocked in for overtime and Atlanta's favorite family is paying the bill. And as for T.I., the man who calls himself King of the South is suddenly on his knees. No mic, no flex, just fear. Because when your son's heart stops, the music stops too. Welcome to the chaos. This isn't gossip, it's survival. The night started like any other for Atlanta's most unpredictable heir, King Harris. The kid who went from rap hopeful to viral headline factory. But this time, it wasn't about a mugshot, a fight, or a livestream meltdown. It was about life or death. The story hit the internet like a thunderclap. King Harris rushed to the hospital. Doctors say it's critical. And instantly, everyone who ever laughed at his antics suddenly forgot the jokes. Let's be honest, nobody expected this. King, the kid who went viral arguing with his parents on Instagram Live, who flexed his real street cred in front of cameras, who seemed invincible under the neon glow of Atlanta's chaos. Now lying on a hospital bed, wires everywhere, machines humming, and doctors whispering words no parent ever wants to hear. Social media went viral. One side was screaming, "Pray for King," while the other half, the same people who dragged him for weeks, were already typing think pieces. Twitter turned into a digital courtroom. "See what happens when fame raises your kids," one user wrote. Another added, "T.I. should have been focusing on King instead of podcasts." It was brutal. Cold and oh so typical of a world that worships celebrity pain. Meanwhile, T.I. and Tiny were already in full crisis mode. Sources say Tiny collapsed in the hallway when doctors first broke the news. T.I., who's built an entire career on swagger and control, was reportedly pacing the floor, demanding updates every 30 seconds. Witnesses say his face went from defiance to devastation in real time. It wasn't the confident rapper who once stood toe-to-toe with police and presidents. It was just a father watching his empire crumble, and here's where it gets twisted. The rumors started before the truth even had time to breathe. Some blogs claimed King's collapse was drug-related. Others whispered it was exhaustion, stress, or something deeper. Suddenly, everyone became a medical expert, breaking down theories like this was a Reddit crime case. TMZ couldn't confirm. Shade Room wouldn't deny, and fans? They just wanted to feel something. Let's rewind for a second because the story didn't begin in that hospital. It's been brewing for months. Ever since King started distancing himself from T.I. and Tiny publicly, fans noticed something dark creeping in. He wasn't the happy, mischievous teen from Family Hustle. He was edgy, paranoid, defensive. Remember that viral clip where he almost fought his dad on Instagram Live? That wasn't a comedy skit, that was a warning shot. That was pain disguised as rebellion. And T.I.? The man who built an empire preaching family values suddenly had to face the truth that his son wasn't playing the same game. Behind closed doors, their relationship was crumbling. Insiders say King felt overshadowed. Living in T.I.'s shadow became his personal curse. And while the world laughed at his antics, nobody realized the emotional war happening behind the scenes. So when the news dropped that his heart stopped, it wasn't just physical. It felt like everything stopped. Tiny reportedly screamed when she arrived at the ER. She's always been the emotional backbone, the one who held the family together while the cameras rolled. But this broke her. She begged doctors for updates, calling out for King like he was still her little boy with the gold chain and crooked smile. Meanwhile, fans outside the hospital began lighting candles and chanting prayers. Atlanta turned into a scene out of a Netflix documentary. Flashlights and phone cameras trying to capture grief in 4K. Then came the leaks, because of course, in 2025, nothing stays private. a nurse allegedly leaked audio of T.I. breaking down. You could hear the cracks in his voice, the same man who once told the world, "I got everything under control." That audio spread faster than wildfire. It hit TikTok, then Instagram, and before the hour was up, people were dissecting his pain frame by frame. The internet doesn't wait for permission to exploit heartbreak. And let's not ignore the irony. T.I. and Tiny spent years building a brand on family unity. On showing fans, we can argue, but we love each other. Now the same cameras that made them famous were eating them alive. Suddenly, the family hustle looked less like a show and more like a prophecy gone wrong. But behind all that noise, one truth cut deeper: King's heart really did stop. Doctors fought for minutes that felt like hours. The scene was chaos, alarms blaring, medical staff rushing, and somewhere in that madness, T.I. standing still, hands clasped, whispering prayers under his breath. For once, no entourage, no publicist, no filter, just a father praying for a miracle. Outside the hospital, fans argued over who to blame. Some said fame ruined the kid. Others blamed social media, drugs, pressure, T.I., Tiny, even the industry itself. Everyone wanted someone to crucify. Because when a celebrity family bleeds, the internet always wants to play surgeon. But let's keep it real, King's story isn't some random tragedy. It's a mirror. A reflection of what happens when a kid grows up famous, rich, and misunderstood. The spotlight doesn't just shine, it burns. And now, that fire almost took him out completely. By the time dawn broke, the hospital was surrounded by news vans, fans holding signs, and police keeping order. Inside, T.I. refused to leave King's side. Tiny was reportedly praying nonstop. The rest of the Harris clan showed up in silence. No makeup, no cameras, just heartbreak. This wasn't about clout anymore. It was about survival. And while the internet debated whether King deserved sympathy, one thing became clear: the Harris empire would never be the same again. Because fame can build a palace, but it can't stop a heart from breaking. By the next morning, the internet had turned King Harris Hospital room into a virtual war zone. Twitter threads, YouTube live streams, and Instagram insider accounts were all exploding with theories. One blog claimed T.I. fainted in the hallway. Another said Tiny called out King's name so loud the nurses had to escort her to another room. You couldn't scroll 2 inches without seeing #PrayForKing trending above politics, celebrity birthdays, and even Drake's new diss track. But the real chaos? It wasn't just fans. It was celebrities. Atlanta's elites started chiming in like they were part of the E! staff. Meek Mill dropped a prayer emoji thread. 50 Cent reposted a picture of T.I. with the caption, "Life hits different when your lil one ain't smiling." Even Charleston White, of all people, made a video saying, "I might clown that boy, but I ain't never want to see him gone." When Charleston White is showing compassion, you know the simulation's glitching. Still, not everyone was sympathetic. The internet doesn't do mercy, it does memes. Within hours, people were remixing old clips of King flexing his street cred with captions like, "The streets hit back." Others posted TikToks comparing the situation to a love and hip-hop reunion gone too far. You'd think humanity would have evolved past laughing at someone's trauma, but nope. Not when the algorithm pays better for chaos. Meanwhile, reporters outside the hospital described the scene as Atlanta's emotional earthquake. T.I.'s security detail tried to block cameras, but fans were already live-streaming from across the street, narrating every movement like it was an episode of Keeping Up with the Harrises. Someone claimed to spot Lil Boosie walking in. Another swore they saw Tiny arguing with a doctor. Truth, fiction, fantasy, all blended together until nobody knew what to believe anymore. Inside the ICU, doctors fought to stabilize King. At one point, his condition temporarily improved, only for his vitals to dip again minutes later. It was like watching hope flatline and restart over and over again. Sources close to the family said T.I. whispered something to his son during that moment. "You're tougher than this, son." But even his voice cracked halfway through. Tiny, reportedly inconsolable, kept repeating, "He's my baby." That line alone hit social media like a dagger. Every mother watching that video clip felt it. Every parent who's ever prayed over their child saw themselves in her eyes. For once, even the trolls went quiet. For about 5 minutes, the internet remembered empathy existed. Then came the leak. Because nothing in 2025 stays private. A blurred hospital photo of King, pale unconscious, surrounded by wires, started circulating. It was horrifying and heartbreaking. The caption read, "King Harris fighting for his life." Nobody knew who leaked it. A nurse? A visitor? Someone from inside the entourage? Someone from inside the entourage? But by the time the hospital's legal team tried to remove it, it was too late. The image had gone viral across TikTok, X, and YouTube thumbnails faster than a rumor in high school. Tia was reportedly furious. He allegedly confronted staff, threatening lawsuits and demanding answers. Tiny begged him to calm down, but grief doesn't do calm. It does rage, tears, and confusion. Sources said T.I. stormed out of the ICU for 10 minutes, then came back in silence. One witness described him as broken in half. The King of the South suddenly looked like just another man watching his world collapse, and oh. The conspiracy theories, they multiplied like gremlins after midnight. Some said it was retaliation from street enemies. Others claimed King overdosed. A few said it was a spiritual attack on the Harris bloodline. Yes, spiritual TikTok got involved too. Mercury's in retrograde and the Harris family's energy has been off, one influencer said while burning sage on camera. We're living in an era where a heart monitor beeping turns into a TikTok trend. Then, out of nowhere, footage from the hospital parking lot started circulating, showing T.I. hugging Tiny, both of them crying. Fans froze the video like it was the Zapruder film. Look at Tiny's face, she's broken. T.I.'s trying not to cry but failing. The breakdown became a national conversation. Talk shows started speculating about the emotional cost of fame. One network even called it Atlanta's royal family in crisis. And if that wasn't enough, old enemies started chiming in because clout doesn't rest. One former collaborator of T.I. tweeted, "Fame don't protect you from karma." Another rapper, known for past beef with King, posted a cryptic emoji, a broken heart followed by a microphone. Fans lost it. The replies were savage. People started screenshotting and dragging him for using tragedy for clicks. Meanwhile, the Harris family's closest friends were circling the wagons. Zinnick posted, "God, please cover my brother." Tiny's best friend Shakina went live in tears, blasting the people spreading lies. "Y'all out here chasing likes while that woman's child fighting for his life," she said, sobbing mid-sentence. Her live hit 1 million views in an hour. It wasn't just gossip anymore, it was a movement. But then came the twist that nobody saw coming. Reports that King had momentarily regained consciousness. Not fully, but enough for doctors to say, "There's a chance." That single phrase changed the entire tone online. Suddenly, the hashtag switched from mourning to hope. Fans were posting, "If King pulls through, this will be the biggest comeback of 2025. People who mocked him days ago were now uploading prayer compilations with gospel music overlays. The hypocrisy was astronomical, but that's social media for you. Inside the hospital, sources say T.I. finally smiled for the first time in 24 hours when King squeezed Tiny's hand. It was faint, but it was something. The kind of miracle you don't post, you just breathe. But while fans celebrated, another storm brewed. The gossip pages weren't done. A major entertainment site claimed to have exclusive medical info, hinting at substances being involved. Instantly, T.I.'s rep denied it, calling it vile clickbait. But once the words medical info and substances hit the algorithm, it was over. Every podcast, every YouTube channel, every gossip TikToker suddenly became a health expert with inside tea. It was messy, cruel, and exhausting, but undeniably viral. Because in today's world, tragedy sells faster than truth. As the sun set that day, fans began flooding the hospital parking lot again, holding candles, balloons, even posters with King's pictures from his childhood. Atlanta had turned into a vigil ground. People were crying, praying, recording, always recording. The irony? Even grief needed a filter, and somewhere in the middle of that chaos, T.I. finally stepped outside, whispered something to the crowd, and walked back in. Nobody could hear his words over the chants, but the look on his face said it all. Fear, love, guilt. King wasn't just his son anymore, he was a symbol. A reminder that no matter how rich, famous, or powerful you are, life can still humble you in one heartbeat, and that heartbeat almost stopped forever. The third day was supposed to be the day of answers, but instead, it became a day of reckoning. By now, every media outlet from TMZ to the BBC had a headline about King Harris. T.I. and Tiny's son fights for his life, Atlanta in tears over King Harris. Even international tabloids that couldn't tell you who T.I. was yesterday were suddenly experts on Southern hip-hop royalty. The world was watching like it was a Netflix finale that couldn't buffer fast enough. Inside that hospital room, though it wasn't fame, followers, or PR statements, it was raw humanity. Tiny hadn't slept in 2 days. I hadn't eaten. The family's pastor arrived for prayers while the doctors hovered between updates and cautious hope. Each time the door opened, the air froze. Every beep of the monitor felt like Judgment Day on repeat. And then it happened. Around 8:42 a.m., the monitors spiked. Nurses rushed in. The doctor yelled orders. The family was ushered out. It was déjà vu all over again, but this time with the weight of the world watching. Minutes felt like lifetimes. Then suddenly the beeping steadied. The doctor came out with a sigh that the internet would later call the sound of relief heard around the world. King's heart is beating on its own again. That one sentence changed everything. Tiny broke down crying. T.I. hugged her so tight, looked like he was trying to hold their whole world together. The hospital waiting area erupted like a gospel church on Sunday morning. Phones came out, of course, because even miracles need to be documented. Within minutes, #KingStrong was trending in over a dozen countries. People who'd never met the boy were crying like family. Celebrities posted candle emojis. Churches dedicated prayers. The same internet that mocked him for being spoiled was now calling him God's warrior. But with fame comes a shadow, and even joy couldn't escape controversy. Some users started calling it a publicity stunt. They accused T.I. of exaggerating the situation for sympathy. Others claimed it was all a cover-up for a deeper issue. It's as if the internet has developed an allergy to sincerity. If you survive tragedy, people assume you planned it. Still, for T.I. and Tiny, none of that mattered. They were in survival mode. The two who once built an empire of image now sat quietly beside a hospital bed, stripped of all titles and filters. This wasn't the King of the South or the First Lady of Escape. It was just Clifford and Timka. Two parents praying their child keeps breathing. In the following hours, King began to show signs of recovery. The doctors called it remarkable, but fans called it a miracle. It felt like Atlanta itself exhaled. The city that had mocked him, memed him, roasted him, was now playing gospel tracks on TikTok tributes. Strangers were lighting candles on the same block where King once got into that viral argument about street life. But even as the prayers flooded in, one thing became clear. This was a turning point. For King, for T.I., for the entire Harris legacy. Because this wasn't just a health scare, it was a wake-up call. Insiders said that once King regained consciousness, he whispered a few words to Tiny, "I thought it was over." That line, simple, haunting, became the soundbite of the week. Blogs twisted it, podcasts analyzed it, and fans turned it into the next viral trend. But for his family, it meant something deeper. It meant he knew. He'd seen the edge. He'd felt that silence that comes before a second chance, and for T.I., that silence was louder than any stage he's ever stood on. Reports say he made a promise right there in that room to rebuild his family from scratch, to cut out the noise, to be more than a rapper and a businessman. For once, T.I. wasn't spitting bars about success. He was whispering prayers about survival. Meanwhile, the entertainment world was in full reaction mode. 50 Cent posted, "God don't make mistakes, salute Lil Nan for pulling through." Cardi B shared a post saying, "Ain't no pain like a parent watching their baby hurt. Glad he's okay." Even Boosie went live to say, "Y'all pray for that boy. We might clown, but we reel down here." For once, the rap world stood still, no beef, no ego. Just unity, but there was one post that broke the internet. T.I. himself finally went online, no filters. No press release, no ghostwriter. Just him staring into the camera with eyes that told 1,000 stories. "You never know how much you love somebody until you almost lose them," he said. "I ain't here to entertain y'all, I'm here to thank God." The comment section exploded. Fans were crying. Even critics admitted it was his most genuine moment in years. And right beneath that video, King himself commented hours later, "I ain't done yet. 5 words that instantly became merch, memes, and motivation posts. Hashtag I ain't done yet trended for 48 hours straight. For once, the internet wasn't laughing at him, it was cheering him on. But behind the applause, something else was shifting. The Harris family, once the blueprint of Atlanta fame, had become the warning label. The cost of chasing perfection under a spotlight that never dims. Every like, every share, every headline had built a digital kingdom that couldn't protect its prince. And now that same kingdom was watching him rise from the ashes. Tiny reportedly plans to step back from TV projects to focus on family. T.I. hinted at a reassessment of his public life. Even King's siblings started sharing cryptic posts about real love over fame. It felt like a collective awakening, as if the entire Harris brand had been unplugged from the Matrix for a moment of truth. But let's not sugarcoat it. This story isn't ending with a fairy tale fade out, because fame has no off switch. Even as King recovers, producers are already whispering about turning this into a documentary. Networks are calling it the redemption arc of the decade. And you just know someone out there is editing dramatic music over T.I.'s speech as we speak. Still, for the first time in forever, maybe the Harris family doesn't care. Maybe they finally realized the views, the clout, the headlines, none of it matters if your heart stops beating. Literally dot, because in that one moment, when the monitors went silent, the man who called himself King realized the price of being one. And when the music finally fades, maybe that's the real lesson. Behind every viral story, behind every glamorous scandal, there's a heartbeat fighting to keep going. And for King Harris, that heartbeat just came back stronger than ever. And just like that, Atlanta's royal family went from headlines to history. King Harris' brush with death wasn't just a scare. It was a reality check loud enough to silence the entire internet for 30 seconds, and that's saying something. From flashing chains to hospital machines, this story turned fame into fear, and ego into empathy. But here's the twist. This isn't the end. If there's one thing we've learned from this wild saga, it's that the Harrises don't just survive, they come back swinging. You think this is the last we'll hear of King? Please. This man's comeback story is already writing itself in real time. Give it a few weeks, and you'll see his first post captioned God's Plan Remix. Still, one thing's for sure. The internet never sleeps, and neither do the secrets behind the glitz. So if you want the real tea, the unfiltered truth, and the kind of drama that makes the Kardashians look like a book club, you already know where to stay locked in. Smash that like button like it owes you money. Drop a comment like you're signing the guest book at the gates of scandal heaven. And don't just subscribe, hit that bell like you're waking up the whole block, because around here, the drama never clocks out. From leaked hospital audios to family breakdowns and miracle recoveries, this story proves one thing: in the world of fame, nothing stays buried for long. This has been Trend Tattle, where secrets scream louder than the headlines and every whisper has a warning. Stay tuned, because if you thought this was wild, wait till you see what drops next. The truth always finds the mic. And we always press record.